The time has come for me to discuss the books that I am most intimidated to read. Welcome back to another video. I apologize for the lack of video last week. School just was a lot and I needed to focus on that, but we're back. I'm so excited to dive right into this very fun and very nerve-wracking video. The reason why I say it's nerve-wracking is I'm so scared of people telling me that I'm being ridiculous, because I am being ridiculous and I know that, but I thought it would be fun to kind of go through some of the books that I really want to read but just haven't because I'm intimidated to read them. The first book that I'm most intimidated to read is The Poppy Wars by R.F. Kuang. The reason why is because I feel like whenever I go to start a new fantasy series, there's so much like world building and aspects specific to that book series that you need to learn to like pick up on to understand what's happening. And I know that this is a very, very highly praised book and it has a lot of like underlying themes. And so that's why I really, really want to read it, but I'm so scared that I'm not going to pick up what's going on. Like, this is another book that I'm very worried is not going to be digestible for me. I don't know if that's coming from a place of intimidation in terms of like the writing or the story, I don't know, but I am so excited to pick this up and I have been wanting to read this for so long. I'm just really scared that I'm not going to understand what's going on. But I will put that fear aside and hopefully pick it up within the next couple months, just because I know this is so highly praised and I feel like it's a book series that I really should read. So I'm excited for this one, also a little intimidated. The next book that I'm very intimidated to read is a little bit more understandable because it is classic, and that is Pride and Prejudice, which I feel like some people are able to read these types of classics with ease, and I know this is written by Jane Austen, and Jane Austen is such a fabulous writer, and so I am excited to read this book, but again, I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to pick up on like what's going on. And I think I'm not giving myself enough credit. I do think that this is a book that I could figure out and be able to follow along, especially because it is a love story and I do love love stories. And I know this too has been like the basis of a lot of like modern day romance and fantasy romance novels. So again, I am very excited to pick this up. It's just intimidating to start because I feel like, same with high fantasy, classics are always really difficult to start because you're reading from like a different time period. In terms of classics, that's a lot of the language. So I'm hoping that maybe if I buddy read this with someone, it'll be, I'll be able to understand it a little bit more, but I really don't know until I try it. So I definitely do need to pick this one up soon. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm scared to read this. The next book on this list that I'm very, 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 very intimidated to read for good reason. And if anyone tries to tell me that this isn't a good enough reason, then I'm going to not like them anymore, and that is House of Leaves. I actually did attempt to start reading this around Halloween time. I was going to do like a video of me reading the scariest book in the world. I got about 13 pages in and was like, I don't know what's going on. So I feel like this is one where I need to sort of like look up the best way to read the book and sort of know more going into it than I would a typical book. There's definitely a formula for how you should read it, and I think it's also going to be helpful if I sort of know a little bit of the backstory about this book before going into it. As of right now, all I know is that it's about like this old house. I really don't know. So I am intimidated to read this because I think that this was going to be so difficult to understand and to get through, as well as it being known as the scariest book in the world. I just think that it's going to take like a lot for me to actually get through it. Like, what is this page? Like, what? So the next book, or I guess you could say books, that I'm intimidated to read are all books written by Colleen Hoover. Here's why. I feel like Colleen Hoover is an author that people either love or hate. I have never seen someone who likes some of her books and hates her other books, so I feel like it's either an all or nothing deal. And two, I feel like if I say I hate Colleen Hoover books, I'm gonna get bashed, and if I say that I love Colleen Hoover books, I'll also get bashed. So I'm curious, and I know that a lot of people say that the writing is good, but I don't know. I don't want to maybe voice my opinion, so I don't think I'm intimidated to read the actual book. I'm afraid to maybe talk about it. From now on, if I do pick up a Colleen Hoover book, it'll be off camera, and you won't really see my thoughts and things on that unless someone asks, just because if I were to talk about it, people would get very angry at me either way. And I know that this is a stupid reason to not want to read a book series, so please don't take this as like me not wanting to read something just because I think other people will judge me for it. If I really feel the urge to pick up a Colleen Hoover book, I'm going to pick up a Colleen Hoover book. I just don't think that I'm going to voice my opinions on them because I know that they are so controversial. The next book that I am scared to read, and I use the word scared instead of intimidated because I am genuinely scared to read this book, is The Goldfinch by Donna Tart. The reason why I am terrified to read this book is because, if you didn't know, I love The Secret History by Donna Tart. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I think it's brilliantly crafted. And The Goldfinch is another book by Donna Tart that people, again, either love or hate. I'm just really, really scared that I'm not gonna like it and it's going to ruin Donna Tart for me. Again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but there is a little part of me that's scared to pick it up just because I don't want my, I don't want the brilliance of Donna Tart to be, diminished in my brain. I'm a little scared to try and pick up another one of her books in fear that it will not live up to my expectation. The next books that I am intimidated to read is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Here's why. I love the ACOTAR series. Now, I recently did pick up Crescent City, which is, if you didn't know, a 800-page Sarah J. Maas book about a completely new world, and it's a new series, and there's the second book actually just came out. And I do like it. It's just, it's really slow, and I haven't really gotten fully invested into it yet, and I haven't really gotten fully invested in the characters yet. So again, that's a book that I'm slowly making my way through. This is another series by Sarah J. Maas. I believe this was her first series. I'm not totally sure. So my fear for this is I'm not gonna like it. And because I do love Sarah J. Maas's books, I am a little scared that I'm not going to want to reread ACOTAR, or reread one of my favorite series because of another series she wrote. As I'm saying this, I know it sounds stupid, but I am just a little intimidated to read this series because of how amazing ACOTAR was, and I don't think this will live up to it. Maybe I'll be mistaken, I hope I am, but again, I am a little, I wouldn't say intimidated, but definitely skeptical of reading this series. In addition, it's 1,000,000 books long, so I know that as soon as I start this series, I'm going to have to read every single book, one right after the other, or else I'm not going to remember who's who or what's going on. But I think I will end up picking up the series just because it is by Sarah J. Maas, and I do love her writing. So, we'll see. If you want to read a book, read it. If you don't want to read a book, don't read it. That's what I'm taking away. So thank you so much for sticking through this insane video. I know that half of the things that I said makes no sense, but that's just how my brain works. So welcome to my brain. I will 100% keep you guys updated on how I go reading these books. I feel like a really cool video to make in a few months too would be actually explaining how I felt about these books after I've read them and compare that to my fear going into them. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next week.